Vincent van Gogh, a remarkable artist whose painting is worth millions of dollars, expressed his artistic life and humanistic feelings through his paintings, which shocked every art-loving person who came after him. However, who would have thought that Vincent van Gogh, who is now honored and even worshipped by many, was considered an art lunatic in his era? 1853 in Zundert, a village near Breda in the southern province of North Brabant, Netherlands, and ended his own life at the age of 37. He had left two women in his lifetime. One was Eugenie Lawyer, the daughter of his landlady, and the other was his cousin Cornelia Key Vostricker, but he was rejected by both. The Memory of the Garden at Etten was painted by Van Gogh after he was rejected by his cousin. After being rejected, he exiled himself from the originally promising art dealer industry. He also became filled with religious fervor and hatred for the commercialization of art. Even so, he tried to attend a missionary training school and received 3 months of training, but he failed in the end. After that, he stayed with a famous miner for 2 months and gradually had the idea of painting the surrounding environment. With the support of his brother Theo, he went to Brussels and studied under William Roelofs. It is the factor we now see in many of Van Gogh's paintings depicting the surroundings and scenery. Of course, the story of Van Gogh cannot be separated from Dr. Gachet, who had an influential impact on him. They first met at the train station in Alvers, in southern France. Dr. Gachet was jumping towards Van Gogh as he got off the train and warmly shook his hand. Dr. Gachet was mild-mannered and had a unique eye for art appreciation. He highly affirmed Van Gogh, which also allowed the artist who suffered from serious mental illness to find a glimmer of hope in the dark. Van Gogh also learned from the letters he exchanged with his brother, Theo, that Dr. Gachet was a specialist in mental illness who completely understood Van Gogh's condition and was always welcoming of his arrival. Dr. Gachet was also one of the earliest people to give Van Gogh extremely high praise. When others thought Van Gogh's work was filthy and low-grade, only Dr. Gachet told Theo, "Your brother is a distinguished artist. There has never been anything like those yellow colors of sunflowers in the history of art. With these oil paintings alone, your brother can make his name immortal." And now, this statement by Dr. Gachet has been proven true. Later, Dr. Gachet repeatedly complimented the paintings that even their painter himself doubted their value, and said, "Only the strokes of a transcendent genius could produce such extraordinary works." Although Van Gogh liked Dr. Gachet, he had no expectations for his medical skills. In his letter to his brother, he referred to Dr. Gachet as a worthless man and used a metaphor from the Bible to describe the relationship. The blind leading the blind will fall into a ditch. He is a horrible doctor, just like I am a terrible painter. In many ways, he is like my older brother. We not only look alike, but also have similar personalities. To describe him as loving art is inaccurate. He should be described as having faith in art. The word faith indicates a kind of martyrdom. These were two souls who could communicate with each other spiritually. Their relationship also led Van Gogh to paint a portrait of him. Moreover, he also painted a portrait of Dr. Gachet's daughter, Aglaia Gachet playing the piano, Miss Gachet in her garden at Alvers, and others. But then tragedy struck. Theo's son fell ill, and Van Gogh rushed to Paris to visit him. He returned to Alvers a few days later, and Theo's financial situation was becoming increasingly dire, and he was unable to help his brother. This made Van Gogh hate his impotence and burden, and thus Van Gogh fell into the vortex of misery again. One day, Van Gogh suddenly burst into Dr. Gachet's house with a pistol in his pocket. He had repeatedly warned the doctor not to neglect the painting of a nude by Jules Goupil. When he saw the nude was still lying in the corner, he angrily stared at Dr. Gachet and pointed the muzzle of the gun in his pants at him. Under Dr. Gachet's compassionate gaze, Van Gogh was speechless, grabbed his head and fled. Afterwards, Van Gogh depicted crowds in the wheat field, by the golden wheat fields, an unfinished masterpiece. This unfinished masterpiece became his swan song. He wrote a farewell message saying there's no way out and ultimately shot himself in the heart. Gauguin accompanied Van Gogh during the last 2 months of his life, during which time Van Gogh completed dozens of famous work, including the church at Alvars. The day after Van Gogh's funeral, Dr. Gachet planted sunflowers around his grave, and after his brother's death, they were buried together, allowing the beloved brothers to remain together forever. Dr. Gachet also planted ivy along the wall behind their tombstone. The painting Dr. Gachet by Van Gogh was later sold for a record price of $82.5 million, setting the world record for the highest auction price for a work of art at that time. In a letter, Van Gogh wrote, "Perhaps people will gaze at this portrait for a long time, even 100 years from now, with a longing to remember it." Like a prophecy, Van Gogh's word came true, and the painting, which was not widely recognized at first, was eventually sought after by many and sold for an extremely high price. Today, Van Gogh, his brother, and Dr. Gachet should all be in the stars, continuing to explore art and living a life undisturbed by the world. Van Gogh's work were not famous during his lifetime, and he only sold one painting in his lifetime. However, after his death, they attracted the attention of many people, and the majority of people who know his work are familiar with Starry Night. When Van Gogh painted this picture, he was being treated at the Saint Paul de Mazzoli Asylum in Saint Remy province, and painted what he saw outside his window. Later, Theo had a son and named him Vincent, and Van Gogh was very proud. He then painted almond blossoms for little Vincent. Certainly, many of Vincent van Gogh's paintings are still collected in art museums around the world. Despite his short life, Van Gogh never gave up on painting, and it's because of his spirit that we can relish his beautiful works today. The objective of Van Gogh's immersive exhibition is also to let more people know about Van Gogh's spirit and to inspire everyone to have hope in life. After all, if a patient could achieve such great success, why can't we?